Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rosie, this is my husband Jeremy.
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about our 4.5 months in Mexico. Now we were in Mexico from the middle of January until the end of May. So this was a little while ago. We're filming this middle of July. So it's been a couple of months since we finished Mexico, and it's been a couple of months since we even started. So Jeremy's got his phone, I've got my laptop, and we're going to try and talk about every place that we went to and kind of talk about our top 3 things that we did, anything we'd recommend, anything we'd recommend maybe avoiding, and try and talk you through and try and remember as much as we can about Mexico.
Without talking for 4 hours.
Without talking for 4 hours. I've vlogged everywhere apart from Cancun. There's no video from Cancun, but everywhere else that we went to, there are videos. So just to quickly before we start, I'm going to talk to you about where we went. We went to Cancun for a week, Tulum for a week, Valladolid for a week, Merida for a week, Campeche for a week, Palenque for about 4 nights. We don't remember if it was 3 or 4 nights. San Cristobal for a week, Oaxaca for 2 weeks, Puebla for a week, Mexico City for 4 weeks. But while Jeremy was in Mexico City for 4 weeks, I went home for about 10-12 days. So I was sort of here, there and everywhere even then. We went to San Miguel de Allende for a week, Guanajuato for a week, Guadalajara for a week, Lo de Marcos and Sayulita for a week, and then Puerto Vallarta. So to 15 places in 4.5 months. We were very, very busy. That is a bloody good effort. As a quick overview, we've just done a finance video talking about all of our finances in terms of accommodation, food, eating out, day trips, all the rest of it. So you can go ahead and watch that. Like I said, there's also loads of vlogs from our travels. Overall view of Mexico. We were scared before we went there. We were thinking, oh my god, Mexico looks scary. We'll go and we'll see for ourselves, and if we hate it, we can just go back to Asia. Which honestly, I don't know where we got that information from, because we bloody loved Mexico. It was so great. It was so good. The food, however, got a little bit tiresome. I'll be honest, after a couple of weeks I was a bit like, I'm done with tacos and meat and whatever they have. But the culture, the people, the architecture, there was so much about Mexico that I absolutely loved. And even some of the nature, like we did some really cool things, the ruins as well. We are going to be breaking all this down, but did you enjoy it as well?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I would totally go back in a heartbeat. It's always the same thing, right? You listen to people who've never been telling you how awful it is.
Yeah.
And then you watch Narcos Mexico.
Yeah.
And then you listen to American news telling you how terrible everything about Mexico is and stuff like that. And then you get there and it's bloody fantastic. Yeah, no, it was amazing. The safety was the main concern, and we never felt threatened or anything at any time. Yeah. Obviously, we are careful. Like we used to travel around, so we don't hang out at night places and stuff. But even when we did, it was in a fine neighborhood. But yeah, never a glimpse of like, oh, I don't feel okay here or whatever. Like very, very safe. So
I think that was the thing you said, because when you look at the news about Mexico, a lot of the time it is about Mexicans leaving and like escaping and going over the border and trying to find a better life for themselves in the US.
About migration or drug.
Yeah, or the drug cartels and things, and danger and guns and violence. So it was kind of...
Which is true, something happens, but not where tourists hang out.
No.
Usually. If you stay, on the tourist track and the main spots and everything, it's fine. Yeah. Someone told you over there, no? Like that
when we were in Merida,
the gang are not going to do anything where tourists are because it's vital for the economy and everything or something like that, no?
Well, it's just that, I mean, they're busy doing their own thing.
Yeah.
They're fighting over their own things. They're not going to come and target tourists because we bring in so much money. It would not be good for the reputation for, global media.
Mind your own
and things.
business.
Yeah. So, like, no, they're not going to target tourists. And, like, we felt so... like respected, but also like but everybody's respected, not just because we're tourists, and more just like everyone's so polite, everyone's so friendly. Some of the nicest people I think we've ever met.
Yeah, we tend to say that a lot, but generally like people in Asia are very respectful. Yeah. But they are cold.
Yeah.
It's not like you're not gonna...
It's not a warm welcome.
It's very hard to become friends with like people in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
When over there, people are very warm. Like you're at the restaurant, someone brings you food, the guy at next table is gonna tell you, like bon appetit. People say hi every time in the street, like randomly. Like you have a grandma walking to you, say, hey, buenos dias. Just little things.
Yeah.
That are, not necessary, but just so nice.
Yeah.
Like everyone smiles at you and say a little word, and just very warm and welcoming people.
Yeah.
We're great for that.
The other thing before we dive into like each place was there was loads of culture in terms of the light shows on the cathedrals. There was always free dancing or singers or entertainment things in the streets. There seemed to be always just things going on like art shows. Yeah, just loads of free culture, which I thought was also really amazing.
All the town halls pretty much, or kind of like museum, and you can pretty much visit for free. Yeah, it was great. Really cool country. Awesome country.
Right, we need to dive in because we've got 15 places to talk about. So the first place we went to was Cancun. Like I said, we didn't vlog there, but we'll be able to find footage and pop it on screen for you. I was very surprised by Cancun because I think we didn't stay on the hotel touristy strip. I think if you stay there, it's probably $200 a night. I think you get really good food, cocktails, party vibes, holiday vibes, like that kind of thing. We were staying in town. So we went to the beach one day, which I think was one of my favourite days because it was really nice to go and see the bright...
To lose your sunglasses
Lost
in the
my
water.
sunglasses. But the water was incredibly blue, wasn't it? It was absolutely stunning. And then the second thing that was my favourite thing in Cancun was this place we went to eat. I'm going to pop it on screen because, oh my goodness, it was delicious.
Arrachera. Sandwich.
I'm not a big meat person at all, particularly, but it was delicious. It gave me a sore tummy and I still went back because I'm allergic to meat, I think, but it was absolutely delicious, wasn't it? It was so good.
Yeah.
So that's my top two. I didn't really have a third.
Honestly, skip Cancun. That's my I don't think it's worth it. Like, the snow culture is not a pretty town. The hotel zone is where people want to go. I understand, like, rather than going to Miami Beach and party on Miami Beach and spend, I don't know how many thousands of dollars in a week, you go to Cancun and you have a cheaper holiday place.
Yeah.
So go there for spring break, get pissed, whatever, enjoy the beach. But, like, there's nothing Mexican about Cancun, you know? There's nothing, like, culturally, like, oh my God, yeah, this food was incredible, but I don't think it's worth going there just for that.
I do.
Honestly, I have no memory of Cancun. I've got no souvenir. I've got like a few pictures, mainly it's food, and the markets are not interesting. Like,
No.
it's not pretty at all. It's not colorful. Like, Cancun, you can skip it to me. That's my quick one.
I think if you want a beach destination, gorgeous blue water, gorgeous beaches, gorgeous hotels, nice
Yeah,
food,
if you want to go to a resort
restaurants.
and you don't want to go to the Bahamas or Florida because it's too pricey, you get there, it's a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
That's the only reason to go. But
I think it was a great holiday destination, not what we were looking for. So next up we went to Tulum. We were there for a week.
Tulum, I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
And I thought it was worth going, this one.
Yeah.
Because
we both thought it'd be like Bali and very touristy and just not our vibe.
Not even Bali, just like during COVID, every single people living in Miami went to Tulum because Mexico was open during COVID. They didn't have COVID there. Everyone went to Tulum. And I was like, oh, this is going to be very like touristy, Americanized place and stuff like that. Which, I mean, it is in a certain way. Yeah. But it's still a very cool town. Cool vibe with like a nice, beautiful ruins. Like overlooking the water, absolutely stunning. Like not the biggest architectural wonder like that you see, but the setting with the water, really like wow, like it's cool. Yeah, cool Tulum. I liked it.
I think the thing that we liked about Tulum as well is that it was one main road, which was quite touristy with hotels and bars and restaurants. But then literally one road back, you've got the local shops, you've got the schools, you've got the doctor's offices, like the Paletas, you got the fruit and veg stores run by the local guy. So it was like very touristy, very regular, whereas oftentimes...
And then one step ahead, one step after, it's dirt path
like
with
shed buildings and So it was very interesting. Usually you kind of have the touristy centre and then everybody else lives over here and it's quite separated. Whereas this was very mixed in together, I would say.
It's not big.
No, it's not a big place. Yeah. A lot of people ride bikes there, which we did as well, which was fun. The park, actually, to go to the ruins, felt like Disneyland. Do you remember going in? It was crazy. Like, there was just, it felt, I can't even explain. Like, I'm literally speechless. I'll pop videos on screen. It just didn't feel like you were going to see some old Mayan ruins and a beautiful national park beaches area. So my top three was the ruins. Incredible, definitely worth going. Loved that. I think it was also the first ones we were going to, so it was also like a wow, oh my God kind of thing. The beach was also incredible. We went on the same day because I think you have to pay for entrance into the both of them. And again, gorgeous, pristine beaches. Definitely worth it if you want to go and hang out for a couple of hours. We did the ruins and then the beach and then went home, so it was nice to do both.
The beach is part of the national park and the ruins as well. So usually in a lot of places in Mexico it's like that. You pay for the national park access and then you pay for the rooms if you want. But here, to go to the beach, you have to pay for the national park entrance.
Yeah.
So we did 2-in-1s.
And then the last thing that I wrote down was a cenote. So I think this is something I regret not doing, is going to the big cenotes. It's interesting. It's one of those because like we didn't want to go to Tulum initially because we'd seen it all on Instagram. We'd seen the sort of people that go there, and we kind of thought, oh, it's not going to be our vibe, and actually really enjoyed it. But we kind of had the same sentiment, I guess, for the cenotes in terms of like it's all over Instagram, and people go there just to get this one shot of them stood in the middle of this big cenote. So which means that everybody else is just basically queuing up to get that one shot. So we thought, we're not going to bother doing that.
I don't have Instagram, so I don't need that. You know.
I'll pop some pictures on screen, but like it's not that I wanted to go there for the pictures, but I wanted to go there to experience the bigger cenotes, which we did do later on in the trip. But I think just there and then I was kind of a bit like, oh, I do wish we'd done a day trip doing that. But there was a small cenote in town which we did, which was really nice because there wasn't loads of tourists. You didn't have to pay to get in. There was no like queues or people selling ice creams, or like it was just
a hole in the ground.
A natural cenote, like a natural hole in the ground, and it's a limestone rock hole filled with water basically. And there was locals in there, like local kids jumping in, and I got in and had a swim, a little puppy. And so that was a really nice moment because we weren't, rather than being in with the tourist buses and the big groups of people taking pictures, we were just in with the families who were going for a swim after work, whatever it was, at the end of the day. So I think that was my top 3.
Yeah. No, the ruins and the beach were really cool.
The other thing actually about Tulum, which isn't my top 3 but it was fun, was the night that we went to in that event place. I'm going to leave it on screen again, I don't remember. I'll leave everything linked below as well. But it was basically a night where they had a live band and you could do dance lessons to learn how to do salsa dancing.
Yeah, like you basically paid to go into this area full of like individual vendors selling either food, drinks, or jewelry, like little things. And then there's a stage with music, and like a few times a week they have free classes. Yeah,
dance classes. And then after they do the classes, they have the live music and everyone's dancing. And I was literally like the whole time because everyone was zipping everyone around. It was amazing. So that was really fun as well. Next place was Valladolid. We were there for a week and I bloody loved it there. One of my favourite places. My top 3 were Chichen Itza, which was the big Mayan ruins. These are the ones that you might see online. That's like one of the wonders of the world. It's the big pyramid where there's just loads of buildings around. I think there's 2 cenotes there. It's where also if you stand at the bottom and clap, you can hear the echo, and it's meant to sound like one of the birds from the Mayan times. And it was really, really interesting to learn about the Mayan culture because when I was at school, I never learned about Mexico. I never learned about much, to be honest. But I definitely never learned about the Mayans and about the history. So it was really amazing to go to all of these different ruins in Mexico and basically have a whole history lesson and learn about the culture and the history and where these people came from and their traditions and their belief systems, because I literally had no idea. So I found that really, really interesting. The other one was the cenote. We went to a big cenote in town, which we did have to pay for. I think it was a couple of euros each.
Yeah, it was cheap, yeah.
And we were there for an hour, so you get an hour pass. And it was really cool. They have basically a ledge all the way around, which is where you walk to get down. You walk all the way around and put your bags down and go for a swim. But you could also jump off there. You jumped off the top ledge. I was too scared.
You tried.
I tried twice, but I couldn't do it, so I jumped off the bottom ledge, which was still terrifying. But yeah, it was really, really cool to be in this like cold water cenote. And I remember I found it scary because it just goes blue down to darkness, and you can't see what's underneath you. And then equally in this one in particular, there's like a shelf of like the cave above you. So I was thinking, okay, there could be a monster down there that's going to bite me. This whole thing could just collapse and kill me. So I was scared being there, but it was really cool. And then my other top 3 was just looking around the shops and looking around the town. Such a pretty place. And like, I love old buildings. I love colourful buildings. I love going to the south of France, for example. It was so pretty. And also some of the shops, I remember there was a couple of them in particular. One of them had gorgeous gowns. Do you remember the one with the dresses and like embroidery? Ugh. There was also lots of really gorgeous jewellery, there was gorgeous clothing, and it was just such a nice place to walk around and kind of soak up the culture. And it was one of those where it was big enough, but it wasn't too big. Like some cities felt quite overwhelming and some felt too small and like not developed enough, but it's a really, really beautiful place and I just bloody loved it.
Yeah, Valladolid was great. It's my top 4 probably of like places we went to. It's definitely a place I would go back to and stay a couple of months there. I really enjoyed it. It's a small enough city, so it's not like overwhelming, but big enough to not get bored after 2 days. It was the first city in the trip where it was very, I don't know, like very Mexican in a sense, like all the colors that you expect of Mexico and stuff like that. Like seeing like a street with like a pink house, a yellow, an orange, a blue, a green, a red, and then repeat. And it's like all those colorful.
And the papers as well.
Like it's so colorful everywhere and stuff like that. It's so pretty, very unique for that. And that was the first place where we experienced that, so it was really cool. And yeah, just enjoy the very traditional also from like an Hispanic perspective with like the main plaza, which is a square with a cathedral.
Yeah.
And you can just sit in a plaza and in a shade and on a bench and just enjoy it and look at the cathedral, and you have plenty of cafe around and you have guys selling drinks and snacks and stuff. Just a very nice atmosphere overall. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, Chichen Itza was probably the reason I wanted to go to Mexico. So I think that was really cool. a very long visit. very long.
I think it was like 6 hours.
5 or 6 hours. Yeah, I mean,
it was
a once in a lifetime kind of thing. Really amazing for that. Yeah, the Cenote was sick, jumping from like 12 or 15 meters. That was fun. Valladolid is one of the places I would happily go back for a couple of months to live. That's how much I liked it.
Yeah, so we like that one. Definitely recommend. Next up was Merida. Again, one of my faves. Absolutely loved it.
Very similar.
Very, very similar in terms of the bright colours and colourful buildings, lots of churches, lots of culture. Incredible. I remember the first day we got there, we were kind of walking around and we saw people sitting in a square and we're like, oh, well, let's sit and see what happens. Ended up sitting for like an hour or something before it even started, but there was a free show where there was dancers and live music and a bit of comedy. And remember in that plaza, Santa Lucia, I think it was called? And it was just gorgeous. It was just like, we were just walking around, happened to sit down and then got entertained for 2 hours with like free music and singing
Merida
and dancing.
had so much cultural, like we literally we were there for a week.
Yeah.
And I found this blog post online saying like, so on Tuesday you need to go there, on Thursday there, on Friday there, and like literally not every night but 5 nights in a week you had some free event to go to. It was so cool.
Something they did in Mexico is free light shows where they would project lights onto the cathedral or whatever it was, whatever important building, either talking about the history of Mexico or the history of the city or just some information about kind of life in general, and it was so interesting. So highly recommend that as well. So my top 3 was the culture in terms of the music and the singing and the dancing and just the everything being out there and given to, like we're saying, like culture is thrown in your face in Mexico. You can't avoid it. Like it is just there and it's incredible.
Which is great to learn about the country.
Yeah. No, I'm not complaining. I loved it. The second thing I would say is the architecture. Again, very beautiful, gorgeous churches, lots of colours, very pretty to walk around, very safe, very warm, very welcoming. And then the third thing is the Mayan game that we went to go and see.
I thought it was going to be your first one. The
Poc, something like that. I'll pop it on screen. I did a whole video where I basically filmed the whole match because I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I will leave that link below as well if I remember. Otherwise, you can go ahead and find it on my YouTube channel. But it was this game where they basically played basketball with the hoop in the middle, and you can only hit the ball with your hips or your body. So you can't use your hands or your head, and it was just bananas. And then at the end, they set fire to the ball, and they're like throwing around this fireball, and I was like, what is this madness? And there's people just stood like not even a metre away from where they were playing. So it was just bananas, but in the best possible way, and I just loved it.
Very similar vibe to Valladolid. Saying Merida is one of the places that I would go back to in my top 4 as well. Again, like you walk in the street and it's like yellow, pink, orange, blue, green, red, and repeat, and like just so much color and a cute, nice town to look at where you have a stroll in the park and you have an ice cream and you walk by the cathedral and don't know how many churches to see, and just a very pretty town. All of those towns also have very nice market.
Yeah.
Where you can buy like fresh mangoes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which always makes us happy.
The other thing actually was the fabrics and things that were all available, all the weaving and things like that I really enjoyed looking at.
Yeah, we like Merida.
Yeah. So that's Merida. Next up was Campeche. Do you want to start Campeche?
Yeah, another really nice place. Like Yucatan overall is a province that is talked about a lot, and I think it's worth the hype.
Yeah.
It's culturally the most interesting part of Mexico because of all the Maya culture, civilization, and influence, and it's everywhere. And also it's so pretty. It's so beautiful. Campeche is very similar. I really like the town itself being surrounded by the walls. The walls, I believe, the Spanish built, if I remember properly.
The Spanish built them to keep the Mexicans out.
Yeah, just a very nice, pretty town with a really nice malecon, so a nice walk along the water, because Campeche is on the coast with a beautiful sunset. We were there for the carnival, which was quite fun also, to go like for one night during the weekend. Like the carnival, they take the carnival very seriously in Mexico and in Campeche. So that was quite fun, a massive parade and a lot of drunk people everywhere and stuff. It was fine. I really enjoyed Campeche. Beautiful, beautiful place.
Completely agree. My top 3 was the walls. Like Jeremy said, you can walk around, and it was interesting because they built the walls to keep the Mexicans out, which I thought was really interesting. But it was really nice to walk around because you get really amazing views down the streets and down this, like some of the smaller streets, but also some of the main streets. That was really cool. You also learned some about the history. The second thing I really enjoyed was the sunset in the Malecon. So just kind of walking down at night time, you see the sunset. I will say I think it missed having a beach because it's by the ocean, but there was no real beach nearby. So I think that would have really made it like probably top number one.
It would have got a...
It would have been bumped up the list.
Higher.
But yeah, really, really enjoyed it. And then I think for the third one, just honestly walking around, like there was lots of beautiful, beautiful architecture, lots of archways, lots of yellow, lots of bright colours, and yeah, just a really, really lovely place to explore. So we really enjoyed it there.
Should we just do a pause here to talk about the food overall, because we're not talking about it everywhere.
Okay, go on.
But really excited about the food in Mexico when we arrived.
Yeah.
So the being like, oh my god, tacos and this and
tostadas.
that. Yeah. And then
I don't remember.
And then quickly you realize that basically pretty much, apart from a few exceptions that I will mention when we go into the specific cities, pretty much everywhere is basically a variation of a tortilla cooked in a way that is either soft or crispy or rolled or small or big or whatever, but it's a tortilla, a corn tortilla in a shape or form, and stuck some meat on it, most of the time beef, but another one, insane, like put a bit more sauce or texture, like, you know, you marinate it or you grill it or you whatever. But it's basically that every day, everywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't think if you're a vegetarian, Mexico is the best country to enjoy food because it's not easy. You don't eat a lot of vegetables there. Obviously, if you go to like a proper restaurant and you have access to a full menu, but in terms of like street food and easily accessible food, it's very good. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. But when you have that like twice a day after, you know, a week or two, you get tired of it. Of the lack of diversity.
Yeah, but you're also a big meat eater.
Yeah.
So you enjoy your meat.
I can deal with it.
You can deal with not great meat as well.
Yeah.
Like there was the place in Cancun I talked about. There was a couple of places here and there where like... In
Merida, like the tacos with cheese. I can't remember how they call it. Like queso, oh my God.
Yeah, like, something like that.
Freaking insane.
There was a couple of places where it was good. So something I would say, last year in Asia, we ate out twice a day, every single day for a whole year. I think we had 5 bad meals in that whole 1 year of eating out twice a day. In Mexico, we ate out, at the beginning we started eating out maybe, you know, once a day, then it was every 2 days, every 3 days, and it ended up being once a week. So I was just getting so sick of it, and I was just like, I'd rather eat at home and eat veggies that I prefer. But I would say within that 4.5 months in Mexico, I probably had 5 meals that I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Or like 5 places, let's say, and we maybe went back to them. Yeah. So like the food just was not for me. Like if meat has any fat on it, I don't want it. If it's cold, I don't want it. If my tortilla is soggy, I don't want it. Like I'm quite fussy. I realised, especially with Mexican food. Like I don't think I'm fussy. Maybe I'm fussy in general. Yeah, sure. But like I didn't want cold meat that was on a soggy tortilla that was cold and fatty. Like that just does not appeal to me at all. So oftentimes we'd buy like food, like 2 or 3 tacos, I'd have one and then be like, no, you can have the rest, and you'd have to eat like mine as well. But it was just not my fave, and we ended up eating eggs and veggies at home. So basically tomato, red pepper, cucumber, avocado, and then eggs with like mango and papaya for dessert. I basically had that twice a day, every day for 4 months, because apart from the times we went to the restaurants, but it was just not my cup of tea at all.
Yeah.
So I think as well that if you go to more restaurants, you'd probably have better quality versus street food. But like street food in Asia is amazing. It's incredible. It's delicious.
But for me, a tacos is something to have in the street, not going to a posh restaurant. Also, I know. For me, street food tacos is not something to...
I don't know. Food was not my fave in Mexico. So next up we went to Palenque. Now we only spent 4 days there, thank goodness, because it was not our fave. It wasn't the worst, but there was just not a lot about it. We went there to see the ruins, which was amazing. It was very different to the other ones we'd seen, because in Tulum it was on the beach and it was on the water, and it was like had these amazing, incredible views of blue water. In Valladolid it was Chichen Itza, which was like the biggest one and the best and the most whatever, like the most popular one, let's say. Whereas this one was within a jungle. Not a jungle.
Yeah, jungle setting, forest.
Yeah, forest setting, I would say. So it's surrounded by greenery, which was really, really beautiful. You're walking through and you're walking around, and there's just loads of trees, loads of greenery, and you can actually climb up some of the pyramids as well, which I found really interesting. We actually walked in one of them as well, which was amazing. So it was just really, really different in terms of the climate, in terms of just kind of the architecture and just kind of the environment it was in. It was really interesting.
Yeah, that was my favorite ruins that we did.
I think it's underrated as well. I think it's one of those that people don't really talk about, but actually it was really beautiful.
Like I thought the buildings that you see in the complex were really well preserved and stuff like that. So you have like very tall pyramids and really cool buildings and stuff like that. It's not completely destroyed, so you really see beautiful stuff. The setting is very unique, with the mountain and like just massive like trees and greenery behind them makes it very special. The size is much smaller also, which gives it like a different vibe. And also because one of them you can climb at the top, then you have an amazing view on the complex, and it's just like such an insane view. Like, that was my favorite ruins overall that we did, I think, because of the uniqueness of the place, and also because it was still like Tulum is a ruin.
Yeah,
it's very broken down. There's not many big buildings and stuff like that. When that had a couple of huge buildings that were very beautiful and stuff, and I really enjoyed it. Like Palenque itself, the city is not pretty. It's probably a very just normal Mexican town in the middle of the country. Like, there's nothing incredible about the town itself, but it's a good spot to do a couple of nice visits, including this one.
But the ruins as well, I will say that you have the option of either leaving via the entrance and just walking down the main road, or you can leave via kind of a back entrance almost, and you go down some waterfalls and you walk down through some other ruins, and these are actually ruins, because I think you only see only one section of the park, which is where the best kind of buildings that are preserved are.
Yeah, like there's basically something like, I don't know how many thousands of remains.
Was it like
in the forest? Yeah, a ridiculous amount. Yeah, like within the forest, but it's such a dense nature that they didn't dig everything up and stuff like that. So it's like the main building is all a clear up area.
Yeah.
But then if you walk through the forest, you're gonna see like
just
a remain of a house or a bit there here and there.
Yes, that was really cool. And then we did a day trip where we went to 2 different waterfalls. The first one was a kind of regular waterfall, I would say.
Misolha,
that was it. That was pretty good. You get to walk around the back of it, which I think was interesting. I don't know if I've done that ever before in my life, actually. Walked behind a waterfall.
I haven't.
No, I don't think I have, so that was really cool. But then the second one we went to, do you remember the name?
Agua Azul.
Agua Azul, that was
Blue
it.
water.
Oh my god, it was incredible. It's this huge waterfall, like really wide, but also really long. And it's not huge in terms of like one big drop of like, 100 meters or something. It's more just wide and long, but it slowly triples down. And it was so stunning. The water was turquoise. It was this incredible colour. And we ended up kind of walking up. We didn't really know how big it was, and I think it carries on for way longer than we went. It's huge. And we walked up. I went for a swim a couple of times. You came with me actually as well.
Yeah.
We walked along some rickety bridge. It was just gorgeous. And it was almost like there was swimming pools. There was like a huge area where it was calm and like flat enough for you to swim, and then it'd go down into waterfalls, and then another swimming pool, another waterfalls and swimming pool. So it was a really great place. You could easily find some privacy and be on your own. I think a lot of the tourists kind of stay around the bottom, and then there was us and another group of maybe 6 other tourists that kind of ended up going quite up to the top. And it was really, really fun. It was really cool. We were there for a couple of hours, I think. So we had time to swim, we had time to walk around, we had snacks, we had lunch, and just a really cool day trip.
It's big. Like, it's a big place. From bottom to top, it took us a while. And you have like kind of, it's like a staired waterfall system in a way. So you go up one bit and then you can move and then go up one bit, and really cool. Really enjoy it. Stunning. The water was like crazy. Yeah. So blue, and also like the rocks were a bit like orangey. Yeah. So like the contrast was really cool, and definitely was visiting that.
So that was our top, was the ruins and then the 2 waterfalls.
Yeah.
We then went to San Cristobal for a week, which was very different vibes, because it was like having been in the beautiful, like colourful, beachy, warm, friendly, I don't know how to describe it, kind of area of Mexico. We then went to San Cristobal, which was very mountain town, and it's really hard to explain, but it really felt like a mountain town.
Yeah.
In terms of the people looked different, the clothing was different, the food was different, the architecture was different, the people were different somehow. I don't know, it just felt quite different, and it was interesting to see such a difference, I think.
San Cristobal really cool. Like, it's high altitude city. I can't remember how much, but like I think it was about 1,500 meters. So the nights were really cold. It was the first time in Mexico that we were cold.
Oh,
we had a place without heating. During the day, it's very nice, very hot when it's sunny, but as soon as the sun is down, it's really chill. We had like big blankets to sleep in, and we
Jumpers
did like
and coats and things.
to go out. So that was interesting to have a different climate for a start. And yeah, it is really in the mountains. The main thing that I remember is the woman wearing very traditional clothes, what I would say. And the main thing was some sort of like skirt that was made of like very black fur hair. I don't know what it was, to be honest.
It's like a fur skirt that they wrap around themselves
I don't know what it's made of, but...
and then wear like a big belt to hold it on.
Like a leather belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like a colorful flowery top. Just like very traditional, very different from anything else that we've seen in the peninsula.
And it was black as well. I feel like a lot of the Mexican clothing otherwise is white and red and colourful and flowers and embroidery, and this was very like black, thick skirt with a big belt around it and then kind of black and flowery top. So it was just very, very different. Yeah,
I personally really enjoyed it there though. The food was not good, like we couldn't find any place to eat at all there. That was an issue.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the look of the city. Plenty of like nice pedestrian streets to walk in with like
cobblestone.
Yeah, like to walk around. One day we did like a good walk from like one side of the city to another, going to like there's like a church on top of one hill, and then you have the city at the bottom, and there's a hill with another church. So we went from one side to the other, but you get like a really nice view, and it's just full of like plenty of small streets that are quite cool and different, and the architecture is very different than the Yucatan Peninsula and stuff like that. So it was our first very different, a different style of Mexican tradition, I would say. Yeah. After this first part, that was very similar everywhere.
They also sell amber there, lots of amber jewellery. So I got some amber earrings. Jeremy got an amber bracelet. That was very different as well because we hadn't seen that anywhere.
Because I was in the province of Chiapas, and Chiapas is one of the top producers who don't produce amber, but where you can find natural sources of that. Yeah, I just loved it because amber, like, you don't produce it, it's there for ages, and it's basically stuff that's like 30 million years old or plus. Yeah. And I was like, it's so cool to have something that's like 30 million years old. Yeah. Like, there might be a piece of dinosaur in it, if it's even longer.
We were geeking out a little bit.
Yeah, I just love the idea of that. That's why I bought something for once.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Top things we did. So if we talk about just San Cristobal itself, I really love the fact that it was like a mountain town. Like I said, it just felt different. It got cool in the evenings. The food was different. People were different. It was just kind of a different vibe, which I quite liked.
Accommodation also with like a rooftop and stuff.
Yeah, nice accommodation. The second thing I would say was a lot of the buildings and the churches. There was some really nice... There was one church in particular, it's my favourite church I've seen in Mexico. It was bright yellow, and it had these white and yellow papel pique, whatever it's called, like the picked paper things that the Mexicans have. Absolutely loved that church. It was gorgeous. But yeah, just walking around lots... There was a market, actually, as well in the evenings on the plaza. It was really nice. Yeah. So the main thing we did was the Sumidero Canyon. And you start off by going up to the top, and you kind of have views over the canyon, which was crazy scary because you're like 1,000 metres high. And it was amazing, beautiful, stunning. And then you actually go down and you sit in a boat and you have a canyon tour. So that was really amazing because you're like in the middle of this canyon with the rocks either side of you, literally 1,000 meters either side of you, and you felt so tiny, but so, I don't know, it was incredible.
We saw crocodiles and
really amazing
like
views. Yeah, so crocodiles. We saw something called like the Christmas tree, something where it's like some moss on the rock that looks like a Christmas tree, especially in rainy season. But yeah, it was just a really, really cool day.
Then you arrive at Chiapa de Corzo.
Yeah.
And then you take a bus back. Yeah. It's really beautiful. It's just so much driving for this day trip.
So much driving, yeah.
Oh, fucking hell. That was long. Like, you literally drive like an hour and a half from San Cristobal to a mirador to look at a view for like 5 minutes. Yeah. And then you drive another 20 minutes to see another view. And basically you go back where you come from and you go like all the way around to go to the entrance of the canyon to do this boat trip. And that takes another like an hour and a half or 2 hours. Yeah. So it was like
and then you drive
3-4 hours of bus just to really do the visit. And then it's another an hour and a half to drive back. So really, really long day. That was my only thing with it, but it was worth it. It's beautiful. Yeah. But love driving.
I wouldn't do it twice.
No.
Put it that way. Yeah. So next up was Oaxaca, and in order to get to Oaxaca, we went from San Cristobal to somewhere overnight, and then from this somewhere overnight to Oaxaca. I think it was like 2 8-hour journeys. It was a bloody long way. But what was interesting along the journey was that we would see migrants walking along the roads, and it was the first time I've ever seen that. And I think they were coming from Guatemala because they were kind of on that road. So San Cristobal was here, we kind of came down here and then along here, stopped here overnight, and then Oaxaca was over here somewhere. They were all walking along this road, and I have no idea how long they've been walking for, where they've been walking from, where they were walking to, if they were walking to the US. But it was the first time I'd ever seen migrants just like walking in the middle of a Mexican desert in the middle of the day with children and bags, and it was kind of shocking.
We didn't understand at the beginning. Like we were seeing people walking on the side, and you know, when you see just 2 or 3 people, you think it's, I don't know, like the farmer going to his place or whatever, and then you see a group of 10 and then another one. So at some point I just asked the driver, like, well, those people walking, and he was like, yeah, they're migrants. Oh, okay. Yeah, and then we made some research, and it's people coming from any country from South or Central America, and even some from Africa, and then going up, just trying to make it to the American border, basically. So they're just crossing through Guatemala and then all Mexico. And that was in the province of Chiapas, and it was interesting because within this province, every time we took a bus, we had a lot of checkpoints control, checking passport, checking like where you put the bags under the trunk of the bus, like if this, we understood after, just checking if there's no one down there hiding or whatever. Like sometimes they took people out of our bus and they kept them in the checkpoint that they had, so I'm guessing they were there illegally or stuff like that. Yeah, that was a very strange thing to really witness it and see it with our own eyes.
And it was scary as well, because when you get to the checkpoint, there's maybe like 20 police officers, all obviously spread out, but then when your bus stops, there's maybe 4 or 5 with big fucking machine guns. 2 guys get on, 1 person with a machine gun and 1 person who's like going down checking. Sometimes they knew what they were looking for, so they'd get on, and sometimes they checked our passports, but mostly they just kind of ignored us, and they would check the passports of the other people of colour, let's say, or black people. And I remember at one point, I think about 6 black people were taken off the bus and were told to stay, and one of them was a child as well, and I thought, God, that must be terrifying, because there's like 5 police people all in the army gear with the machine guns, and they're being held in this tent and being told to come off this bus. And I just thought, God, if that was me as like a 36-year-old woman, I'd be petrified. So let alone as like a 10-year-old, like it must be so scary. So it was definitely
they were really looking for specific looking people.
But also, if they didn't have the passport or the relevant papers, they wouldn't have been kicked off the bus. Not that I'm saying that that's right or wrong, but I'm just saying but they just kind of assumed, I guess, that we had the right paperwork, which is also interesting. They didn't even look at ours.
It's just facial.
So that was interesting. And then also when we arrived at the city, I remember...
You were terrified.
Well, we read online that it's not a great place to be, and I think our bus was delayed or something, so we arrived pretty much at night time. And I was like, let's walk the fuck to our hotel, get there and not move.
Well, also when you arrive at the bus station...
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because...
the most welcoming.
Like, when we arrived, there's just... Obviously, all these migrants have been walking for days or months or years, you just don't know. And they're exhausted, they're hungry, they are in need of help, I guess. And it just felt a little bit scary. And this is going to sound how it's going to sound, probably going to sound awful, but I just felt like, oh my God, we could so easily be a target, because I'm carrying like at least 5 grand's worth of stuff with my camera, my iPad, my laptop, my phone, like all this stuff. Like, I'm just carrying so much money with me, essentially, that we could have easily been a target, because we just looked like the rich white tourists. So I just felt like, oh my God, get us to the hotel quick. So we got there quickly and then went out for food. And I remember I took my jewellery off, my rings. I didn't take my phone out with me because I just thought I don't want to be a victim of any kind of theft or anything. The next day, again, got to the bus station. It was just like everybody's laying on the floor. There's families, there's loads of people. And it was just really, really hard to witness with my own eyes. And I think it was also hard because I felt like I wanted to help people and maybe go and buy them food or maybe give them things or water or whatever it was. But then there's so many people that I couldn't have helped everyone. It was just like a really hard situation to see so much poverty and people in need, but not really knowing what to do or how to help them, or I don't know. It was just odd, wasn't it?
Yeah, strange.
It's strange. It's strange to talk about as well, because it's obviously not nice, and it wasn't nice to see, but it was also just... Anyway, that's that. Don't really know what else to say. And then we went to Oaxaca, and we stayed there for 2 weeks. Absolutely loved Oaxaca. We were staying a little bit sort of out of town, I would say. We weren't staying in the centre. We were kind of staying on a bit of a hill, which was a nightmare to get up and down all the time. Loads of steps. I think it was about 300.
Good view, though.
I think it was about 300 steps, but it was a good view. Really nice accommodation. So we were there for 2 weeks, really enjoyed the culture, really enjoyed the arts, really enjoyed the architecture, really enjoyed the paper, like Mexican papers everywhere, just bloody loved it. But my favourite day, I think my favourite day of the whole trip was going to Teotitlán del Valle, which is a place where they make rugs by hand. There's actually 2 videos talking about this whole day trip, so you can go ahead and watch them. I'm not going to bore you to death, but it was incredible to see people hand weaving rugs. We actually bought a little rug and took that home as a souvenir. That was amazing, wasn't it? You really enjoyed that because we went to one place, it was called Casa where they show you their natural dyeing process, and they have all these things laid out, like lots of seeds or plants and things like that. And little bugs from cactus that he squished on Jeremy's hand, and then he put on a little bit of water and a little bit of
he squished it and it was bright red.
Yeah.
And then he put some like baking soda and it turns blue and purple.
Orange,
and it's like, whoa, it was
put on all these different chemicals and it changed colours. And he was saying, so depending on like whatever colour you want, you can mix up different things. That's obviously one thing. And if you put a bit of purple from this or a bit of yellow from that, and
yeah, all the natural dye basically was explaining.
You enjoyed that as well,
that was
didn't
fascinating.
You?
Yeah, that was.
I really thought you'd be bored that day, but I was like, I'm going to be selfish. I want to do
that
this.
was
and then
one of my favorite days in Mexico.
Good.
Probably, yeah, for sure, top 3.
Yeah. My other top one was doing the day trip to Hierve al Agua something.
Hierve al Agua. Yeah, that was great.
That was a bloody nightmare to get there, though. I remember when we got there, I was like, already it's not worth it. I never had such a good day, and I was like, fine, it was worth it.
It was so cool.
So cool.
Died twice, but
why?
Well, going up there, I think, gave up, and walking around there, and we are passing out.
It was like the middle of the day in the Mexican desert, and we decided to go for a walk, like down and around and back up again, and I didn't think I could make it. But it's basically a petrified waterfall, and I always think that sounds like scared petrified. It just means that the minerals from the water dries before it drips down, so it's rather than it being like a flowing waterfall,
it's a rock.
It's like rock, like crystal almost. So it was really, really cool. And then at the end, we swam in the water, which was gorgeous. It was nice and cold and refreshing. And it was like this greeny colour with amazing views of landscapes. And it was just like incredible day trip. And then the last thing I would say is my favourite, again, is like the culture, the arts and the architecture. Like I loved looking at all the shops. I loved looking at... There was a couple of weddings and the ceremony for that through the streets was really cool. There was one that was like an Indian-Mexican wedding. So a lot of the guests were wearing Indian attire, like traditional kind of saris and things. And then they had the Mexican dancers like twizzling around in circles and like the live music, and it was just like so fun, such a vibe. And the market was actually really cool there as well. There's a really local market that's fucking huge. It's absolutely huge. Again, there's a whole video talking about the markets of Oaxaca because I think we went to 4 different ones, but this one in particular was my favourite because it was so local. We tried that drink that had like cheese on top. I don't remember what it was called, but that was really cool. Like
Tajeta.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Tejate. Something like that. Yeah. It was so good though. Not that in particular, but just so good. Like being in the hustle and bustle of this like local market where it was just crazy. So I loved Oaxaca. I would go back in a heartbeat.
Another visit that we did there was Monte Alban.
I forgot about Monte Alban.
On top of the mountain. Not the most pretty one, but very different because it was like very desertic, like no green at all. Everything was just bone dry. It was cool. Not the best one, but cool.
So the interesting part about Monte Alban actually was they had like huge terraces or huge like parks or places, or I don't know what you would call it, but just huge areas where people would collect and gather, and they would have markets and ceremonies and things like that. So it was very different to the other ones where it was kind of all stacked up on top of each other. This one was very long and very wide open, if that makes sense. You'd have like a building here and then this huge piece of just flat land, and then another building and then things on the sides, and it was... But like you said, very desertic, very dry, like cactuses, no greenery, no trees. If there was trees, it was just sticks. And it was just like really, really different. Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Teotitlán de Valle and Hierve al Agua was 2 really cool day trip. And Oaxaca is it's probably like the most trendy Mexican place, right? After Mexico City. Like, it's very trendy, right? Like, a lot of people go there. Like, we met a friend from Miami there, and we got to know someone. Then we saw in Mexico City. That's where we also met Lucy.
Yeah.
Crossing the America from bottom to top. It's a really pretty city, full of culture, full of... I don't think you get bored there. There's always something to do. There's always something going on. Some live music here, something there. And also, like, very comfortable. Like, also, like, if you want to go for, like, nice meals, it's probably a very good place. Like, the food in Oaxaca was really good. Like, in terms of food, it was Oaxaca and Puebla. Like, those 2 places, Puebla is the next one, had very specific, like, local cuisine. That stuff that you couldn't find in other provinces or places in Mexico, and I did enjoy that. Like the food in this place was really nice. That's where also we bought like hot chocolate, stuff like that.
Oh, we did, yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's a stunning place. Same like a place you could easily spend a month or 2. The cathedral there That was one of the most beautiful ones that we saw right inside. Not the main one that was on the main square, the other one.
Yeah.
Full of like carving and everything.
Yeah.
Right inside was stunning.
Yeah.
There's a couple of funny bits also in Oaxaca that I want to mention. We were there when there was a protest from a woman about domestic violence and stuff like that.
Abuse and
And
rape.
like
And,
the day after the protest, everything was trashed. Like all the buildings, even the cathedral, it was protected, but they put everything down and tagged the cathedral and all the window display and broke things. And it was full of like, this guy's a rapist, this guy's a this guy's so a lot of shit going on obviously about that. And yeah, you mentioned about the market. We also saw some weird shit in the market. Yeah, it's a very local market with the good things and the bad things potentially of a local market. But yeah, we bought some good hot chocolate there at the market though. We bought like 2 bags of chocolate. One was like almond and another one was just like normal cacao chocolate.
Yeah.
Which we had for the rest of the trip pretty much.
We can say about the market, for example, there was one person who was... There was a woman who was just fully naked, walking down the street, and nobody batted an eyelid, no one tried to help, and we were just like in shock.
Yeah.
There was another one where there was like a guy who only had one leg, and he was pushing his wife in a wheelchair,
but it was like,
and he was using like a stool to like rest on to push her, and then he'd put the stool. There was just like just a lot of poverty. We also saw prostitutes there. Do you remember? We saw the women outside the doors and things. And there was a woman who was chasing a man who I don't think he paid, and like it was just like, it's interesting because I think I romanticized Oaxaca quite a bit in terms of it being like a beautiful, romantic, artsy, creative place, which it was in the centre of town. But because, like I said, we were staying a little bit out of town, we went to the local market versus like the cutesy markets. We saw a lot of the real life in terms of like the poverty, the homelessness, the
good and the bad.
Yeah, so it definitely did have a mix. It was definitely a big enough city that it had everything. And that was the other thing. I thought Oaxaca would be small. It's such a fucking huge city because we had such a good view from where we were. We saw the city here, and it's continued all the way around, so it's absolutely massive. So it's way bigger than you ever would think it was. Way bigger than I thought it was, let's say. Guys, we've got 7 more places to go. We're going to have to rush through.
But there's less to say.
It's been an hour. Next up is Puebla. It just happened to be somewhere to stop along the way between Oaxaca and Mexico City, and I'd seen it, I don't remember if I saw a YouTube video, and I thought, let's go to Puebla. Didn't know what to expect, and we actually really enjoyed it. My top 3 would be the tiles. So they're very well known for making a certain type of tiles there. So a lot of the buildings, I think it's like 1,000 buildings in the city centre that have original tiles within the buildings. So that was really cool because it's the only place in Mexico that you really see that. We also went to a couple of tile like factories or shops or showrooms and things like that to see things. And then they also have a lot of mugs and earrings and touristy things that you can buy with this style of tile painting on them. So it was really different, like the markets were really different to the other markets we've been to where it's a lot of textiles. This was a lot of tile and ceramics, so that was really interesting and cool. The other thing I went to a museum, which was really interesting. I loved actually looking at the museums for all the old ceramics that they had. I went to quite a few. I think I went to like 3 or 4 over the whole 4 months.
Shouldn't just spending 200 pictures to a mum.
I literally took 200 pictures because they have these ceramics that are literally 2,500 years old. And it's just incredible that these exist. Like, first of all, that they're still around, but also that people 2,000 years ago thought about making these human-like figures and these pots and the colours and the patterns, and it was just like, I just loved it. There was one day I went to the biblioteque, or whatever that is in Spanish.
That's Spanish, biblioteca.
Biblioteca, and
library, she means.
Library. We were there to go to the library because it's old and it's beautiful. They've got these old books and things. But actually, the day that we were there, they had some sort of event on where there was all these beautiful purple and white Mexican papers hanging up, and there was a full orchestra band there, and then there was a guy singing opera, and there was the guy who was doing the
He was so into
composing.
it, young guy, like
so good, so magical. It like brought tears to my eyes. And then there was old people dancing to the music, and then there was like people all sat around, and whenever they finished, it was just erupted in applause. And it was just like, just one of those things where it's just like, we wanted to go and look at old books in the library, ended up getting this free show with like this incredible, like you would pay for this music, you would pay $50 or €50 to go to like a concert of this, and it was just there for free. You
bought your earrings with the old grandma who was making it and got a picture of her.
And it was just like, I just love that about Mexico, is that you walk around the corner and there's just like, I think this is where I said that culture is thrown in your face. Like you can't plan it, you can't expect, you don't have to go and look for it, it's just there. And it was incredible. So love that about Puebla. And then the other thing is the architecture. So it does have the tallest cathedral in Mexico. I think that was in... Yeah. Walking around, there was one avenue called 6th Avenue or 6th Calais or something like that was cute. And Yeah, I think especially seeing the tiles on the buildings was one of my faves because, like I say, it was very different to architecture in a lot of the other places.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Puebla. Food was great. You forgot, I think your favorite thing, you forgot to write it down, was a neighborhood on the side of the city full of like artist stuff. And we went there and there was like a very like a thrift market or like flea market.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
And then she had the favorite meal in Mexico and she forgot about it, like the stuffed chile, like chile relleno.
Slow down. So the market. So there's an arts district and it's gorgeous. Well, okay, we'll start with the arts district. They have different like studios where artists can rent it out, and there's like a painter, a ceramic artist, or something. Gorgeous. And then they had the markets there. But where Jeremy was talking about the weekend with the flea market really reminded me of Paris there. Really reminded me of Europe. I could have easily lived there. Every weekend have a walk around the flea market. They sold records, tapes, old cameras. There was a cool box that like you take to the beach. I had a CD player and something else with it.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but it was just like 3 random things put together in one product.
I remember checking on eBay the price.
Yeah. Just like the most random stuff, but it was amazing. Yeah, okay. And then we also went to this restaurant and I got this thing called
chile relleno a la pueblana.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a stuffed chile, and a la pueblana is the sauce that's specific on Pueblo.
But it wasn't a spicy chili, it was like a green pepper. Yeah. And it was like sweet almost. I think it was figgy and nutty and saucy, and it was delicious.
With pomegranate.
Yeah, pomegranate seeds.
Puebla was my favorite food place. It's culturally like it's like the capital of culinary Mexican stuff with Oaxaca. Now we had this sandwich, remember, I can't remember the name, like a very traditional, yeah, but the name is, I can't remember the name of the sandwich, but literally like the size of my head, like ridiculous how big it was.
We didn't realise how big it was going to be, so we ordered that and like 2 other things.
And it was like...
And then it came and we were like, oh, fuck.
The cathedral outside is like black and kind of Gothic style, and inside, absolutely stunning. So pretty. We went to another cathedral there that was recommended because like the Pope said it was like one of the most beautiful in the world, whatever. Yeah. We went to this church, and like within the church there is a chapel that is like full of gold everywhere, and like incredible paintings and carvings and sculptures, and like insane, like so beautiful. Yeah, plenty of pedestrian streets with like vendors and stuff like that. You can get like churros and everything is full of those tales, like you said. I really liked it. I remember you said like Puebla is like the second, or was the biggest city in Mexico at some point, the second biggest city. It's a very young city, full of students everywhere, which you could see, like the vibe was different. Yeah, I really liked it there. We went to the park also at the top of the city. Yeah, I really like Puebla. It's kind of underrated. It's not as cute as like Merida, Valladolid, stuff like that, but you get everything that you need in the city.
I also feel like it wasn't as touristy, it just felt like you were just in a really nice Mexican city.
I think it's what I say. It's like it's as pretty and as convenient as Oaxaca.
Yeah.
But much more local.
Yeah.
Because even if you're like right next to a cathedral, you can have like local priced food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which at Oaxaca, if you go to the center, it's full of tourists. There's no local.
Yeah.
Within like a few blocks at the beginning, there's no one live there. When Puebla is a very normal place. Yeah, I really liked it also. It makes me think that something that we didn't talk about, our experience of Mexico.
Mexico.
That I think is worth mentioning. You can really see climate change there. The reason I'm saying that is because obviously there's a lot of desert in Mexico, and a lot of time, and I think it started in Oaxaca and Puebla, we experienced lack of water.
Oh yeah.
In Oaxaca, it was once every like 3 days we couldn't shower, or there was no water at the tap, or whatever to the dishes and stuff like that. But it was not too long usually, like not a problem in terms of toilets.
Couple of hours.
Yeah, not too bad. But in Puebla, we didn't have water for like 2 or 3 days at some point.
Yeah, it was 3 days.
So like, obviously when you need to poop and stuff like that, it's not super easy, especially when it's 40 degrees and, with the heat, not ideal.
Brushing our teeth and showering.
Yeah, and we experienced that also a little bit in Mexico City, and I think after that it was fine. But there are some places where you can really feel the lack of water, the dryness. I think it's just because it never rains. And that was very interesting, something that I just didn't know about. And yeah, it's just interesting to really experience firsthand climate change on your daily life, It's not just even like a storm once in a while, it's like you literally can't get water because there's no water anymore.
Yeah.
I just thought it was worth mentioning.
Just to clarify though, we did flush the toilet because the kitchen that was literally next to our bedroom did have water, so we'd fill up a bucket and then we'd take it and flush the toilet that way. And we would also use that. I remember was it either there or in Oaxaca? I needed to shower, so I ended up using a bucket, and I had to shave my legs and everything that day as well. So I'm like sat in the shower, like shaving with this cold bucket water, and then Jeremy tried like half an hour later and got nice hot water. But yeah, we did flush the toilet, we did brush our teeth and things like that. We did wash. It was just like we had to use bucket water, and then I think we used bottled water for brushing our teeth or whatever. I don't remember, but yeah, it was interesting though that for like 3 days it's like we still don't have water. Like what are the people doing?
Like in Mexico City they were refilling the tanks that they have on the top of the building, like on a Sunday. So like from Monday to Thursday it was fine, but then like Friday, Saturday, Sunday they were like monitoring the water, and they would open it only like a few hours in the morning, a few hours for lunch, and a few hours for dinner. And if you miss your sport, if you're waking up late or whatever, then you can't shower and you can't do anything. Or it was
there was one time as well where I was showering. I think I'd shaved like one leg or something, and it just like the water stopped, and I was like, well, I've still got conditioner in my hair. I've got half a leg shaved. Like, what am I doing here? So it was kind of like if you showered, it was like quickly get clean, and if you've still got time, then you can enjoy the shower. But it was like a quick shower, like as quick as you could be. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning because in Puebla it was the worst part of that. So.
Next up is Mexico City. So we were there for 4 weeks. I went home for about 10 days in the middle. So Jeremy was there on his own for a bit of time. Favourite things was the ruins I've got them written down. I'm trying to remember what the ruins were.
Teotihuacan.
Teotihuacan, that was it.
I'm disappointed you put that number 1. I'm sorry.
Well, it was in my list.
It should be Lucha Libre. It's not even on your list. We went to see the wrestling, traditional wrestling in Mexico City. It was freaking awesome. I told Rosie, she didn't know wrestling was a thing in Mexico. And like everywhere you go, they sell those like masks of like if you watch, like Rey Mysterio and stuff like that. And I was like, in Mexico City, I really want to go see a wrestling thing because it's so big here. So we went to see one. It was so cool. That should be a number 1 in Mexico City.
Okay, so that's Jeremy's number 1. Mine was the ruins because, the wrestling was fun.
It was fun.
I thought I'd be scared.
You would have never done that.
No, I would never have done that. I thought I'd be scared because I don't like violence, I don't like boxing, things like that. So I was a bit like, oh god. But actually it was just pantomime, it was just entertainment. Grown men in leotards throwing each other around, it was good fun.
You're going to get some shitty comment from the fan there.
Come at me. But no, I did enjoy the ruins. I think it was nice to see different ones and to compare them. There was one drawing in particular that I quite liked of like some leopard or something. It probably wasn't my favourite ruins, but I think it was interesting to see different ones.
It was also a different culture. After the Maya, it was more like Aztec. And it's the biggest pyramid though.
Yeah, it was huge. The Pyramid of the Sun.
Yeah, like the base is freaking...
Massive, yeah. Another thing I enjoyed was we were staying in La Condesa and Roma Norte area, and that part of town is so beautiful and so livable, and there's like cute cafes, nice restaurants, there's big parks in the middle where they have dogs for adoption. There's lots of people running and families and that kind of thing. There was even a walk, it's called the Amsterdam, where you walk around the park. I really enjoyed doing that. Just that part of town, there was like the Tuesday market that we really enjoyed going to a couple of times and got fresh mangoes and fruit and things. It was just a really cool area, and it wasn't as if there was like, oh my god, there's this big church, or there was this like amazing ruins, or there was whatever. It was just like a cool part of town. Like I could really see like if I had to go to Mexico for 6 months, I could easily spend 6 months there. I thought it was so nice to just like walk around and everyone's outside, families, young professionals, cafes, restaurants. Cool vibes. I really like you weren't keen, were you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be the person on the internet who didn't. I think Mexico City was overrated. Like I've heard so many things about it's one of the coolest cities in the world. Blah 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 blah. I mean, it's a big city that you have everywhere. I didn't feel that I was in Mexico that much. Roma Norte and La Condesa is nice, but it's full of expats. I literally like full of expats. It's just a European neighborhood, American neighborhood in Mexico City. But
I think that's also why I liked it, because it felt comfortable.
Yeah, but like that for me, I don't go to places again. I don't like Bali because for me a traditional smoothie bowl is not a traditional Indonesian meal. Like stuff like that I don't really enjoy personally. I thought it was a bit overrated, to be honest. Mexico City, I was a little bit disappointed by it. I had expectation because it's very hyped up and it didn't meet those expectations. So it's obviously I should not have expectations. It's a me problem, but I would be happy to never go back personally. I would go back to a lot of other places in Mexico.
Yeah.
I would go back to Merida, Valladolid, Oaxaca, Puebla before going back to Mexico City. if I had to pick.
Yeah, but I think I agree, but I also think for me, I could have, like, if someone said you have to move to Mexico City and it was La Condesa Roma Norte, I would not be mad about it.
No,
Very livable.
That's something we're very different about, yeah.
Yeah,
like
very livable.
You like your comfort, so...
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's very livable, very comfortable, very safe, very calm, very just chill.
Very non-Mexican.
But I think that's nice as well, though. When you're travelling for such a long time, it's been like 20 months now of non-stop travelling pretty much every week. It's nice to find somewhere you feel like your nervous system can relax a bit and you can feel a bit more settled and a bit more home in a place. So I don't think it's a bad thing. The centre, however, was a bit batshit crazy. Mm-hmm. We went twice. The first day I didn't vlog because I just thought, we'll just go and we'll see how it is. I then went back a second day so that I could vlog. It was like 2 weeks later or something. And we were there for like an hour and we were both like, it's so noisy, it's so busy, can we just go? And I was like, yeah, I can't film anymore, like it's just crazy. Like one of the roads in particular, it had like regular shops and then it also had markets outside and everyone was like shouting about the price of things and selling bras and CDs and
that was hectic,
random objects, and it was just a bit crazy. The cathedral was gorgeous and huge, and the big plaza that's outside there. We went for a meal for my birthday, which was really nice. Mm-hmm. So it was really cool. Mexico City, the centre, was not my fave though. It was just busy.
I don't know, it's just like, there was also this big park that online people say it's like the... What is it? The
Central Park.
Central Park of Mexico. God, fucking hell. That was a nightmare.
It was loud.
Full of people shouting at you and,
everyone wearing the, like, monkeys on the heads.
Oh, yeah. It's not my personal favourite, Mexico City. Just that, I'm say that.
Next up was San Miguel de Allende. Loved it there. It was so cute, so pretty.
One of the most beautiful places I've been in my life.
Yeah. Like, it was a bit like the beginning in terms of the colourful buildings, but it also had its own stamp on it.
Everything was red.
Do you think everything was red?
Yeah. Different set of colours.
Yeah, but what was interesting was they had a lot of flowers around the doors and windows. So you're walking down the street, and I think I looked online. It was to do with, I think, for the city made a rule where people can't have signs outside their buildings, outside their shops and restaurants. So instead, they put flowers to signify that it's an establishment, like a business, which I thought was really nice. And I took loads of photographs of the doors and windows because I like that anyway, but especially with all different flowers and really nice shops. Gorgeous cathedral. Looked a bit like
bright pink.
Looked like a
Disney castle.
A Disney castle, really gorgeous, lots of mariachi bands. There was a really nice park there as well. We enjoyed walking around. I think this was the first place where I actually started looking at property, like seriously looking at property, even though we can't buy in Mexico. I was still like, I could easily move here. The only thing it was missing was a beach, I would say.
Right in the middle of the country.
Right in the middle of the country, I know, but like some sort of beach or lake or like a swimming pool would have been ideal. It would have been perfect, but it was just gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
My top 3 was the cute flowers around the doors and just the fact that it's a really nice place to walk around. The second thing was the mariachi bands, especially in the evenings by the cathedral, was so nice because they'd kind of walk around and perform for somebody, but obviously you can hear, like everyone can hear it, so that was really nice, and just sitting in the park and people watching. And then the last thing was the architecture again. I love me some architecture.
Yeah, no, it's just a really pretty town, yeah. I enjoyed it there. We didn't do any day trips, so.
We just spent a lot of time working in Starbucks and then we'd walk around afterwards,
very pretty
basically.
Starbucks.
Yeah, it's nice. Next one was Guanajuato. We did this like singing tour thing where there's like a live band and they sing and tell the story about Guanajuato, and the only word that I understood was Guanajuato during the whole trip. But this was in the evening. I think it was from like 7 p.m. for like 2 hours. It took us all around the streets and it was really cool. That was one of my highlights. I loved it there. The views were insane. We were staying somewhere, again, on top of a hill. Jeremy loves to do that to me. It was about 200 steps up, and I was out of breath every single day. But we had insane views over the whole city. And then one of the evenings we went to the funicular and went up the top, basically the side of the city, and got views looking back the other way. So the views were insane. There was another day we walked around town and we randomly got views over the city as well from there. And it was just like so colourful, so bright. And it was really cool how the city was kind of at the bottom then.
In a valley.
In a valley, yes. You could easily be at the top and look down.
It's a very colourful city. Like when you look at the mountain opposite of wherever you are, you see like plenty of colorful houses and stuff, and it's just really cool to take pictures like that. It reminds me of the places in Lima, you know, like this mountain full of colors a bit. Yeah, the center is really cool. It's everything is up and down.
Yeah.
Plenty of small stairs and stuff like that, so she hated it for that. But it's very pretty. There's plenty of like tunnel going like other things. They have this massive university that's just like
gorgeous,
crazy
big
white building. The main cathedral, the yellow and red cathedral, was really cool as well. The little square in front of the theater where we had Starbucks and like triangle shape was always like
really
very busy, but very always nice vibe and stuff. Yeah, it's really cool as well. Like I don't even know why we went there. Like I've never heard about Guanajuato before. I don't know. Maybe some tour guides, and I just don't look at tour guides. But it's not one of these places that you heard about when people tell you about Mexico. And I would highly recommend it. Like, definitely.
I think I'd read either in my guidebook, because I get the Learning Planet guide on my iPad so I can look through there. I think it was on there that it said that there's not many international tourists. There's a lot of Mexican tourists go there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a bit of a hidden gem, and that like not many people spoke English. There wasn't many people that looked like us there. It was a lot of Mexican people and Mexican tourists. Yeah. So like on this trip that we did, the like singing tour, it was all in Spanish and everyone spoke Spanish and everyone got the jokes, and us two being like, no idea what the fuck is going on. So like it was very Mexican tourists, but yeah, I think it's a bit of a hidden gem. I don't want to say hidden gem because that sounds a bit twatty, but I think it's one of those places that not everyone talks about, probably not everyone goes to, but would highly recommend. Yeah. Really, really enjoyed it. And then the other thing was I went to see some mummies. I went to the mummies of Guanajuato. I've done a video talking about that as well with like video footage. I don't want to say it was a highlight. It was just something different for me because I haven't seen mummies since we were in Peru, and then before that probably at a museum when I was a kid. Like you don't often see mummies.
Different style of mummy though. I mean, you want to explain why? Because usually in Egypt or in Peru you have mummy, but it's usually like the king and the queen being mummified and embalmed and nice. So it's a privilege to be mummified usually.
Yeah, so this was people who were buried in the 19th century in Mexico who had died from various diseases or from
That's from the plague.
Being killed. Yeah. Was it from the plague? No, it was from, I can't remember now, it's a whole video. But they basically got buried in the ground, and then because of the climate, because it's so dry there, and the soil was so dry, a lot of the people mummified, and they were exhumed because the families of the mummies have to pay tax, and if they can't afford to pay tax, they get the bodies out and I don't know what they do with them. So they exhumed all these bodies because the families couldn't pay tax, which meant that they then just had these bodies, but they realised they'd all been mummified because the climate was so different and they're all so dry. And so it's interesting because there's one woman who is called the China girl because they're not sure with her facial features where she was from. There was a woman who was about 6 months pregnant and her unborn fetus. So I don't know if the baby was like mummified when they got buried or when they got exhumed, but either way you see like this tiny little 6-month-old mummy baby. And there was also about 5 or 6 other babies in little cases with like dresses, like clothing on and things. And then there was one man who didn't have any holes in his skin because I don't know why, but the conditions of his body, whatever. And then there was another mummy that had just been buried above the rest of them, and that one was literally just bones. So you could see that it's like very specific climate meant that these people were mummified by accident, if that makes sense. So it's quite interesting, but it's also quite sad because like these people have no idea they were being just shown in a museum for tourists to go and look around. So it felt quite odd to be there, and especially because I'm still grieving my grandma dying and I have been pregnant at 6 months. I had an abortion, so it was like very triggering but also very interesting and also very sad and very creepy. And so it was a mix of emotions, but it's on there anyway because it's something that was very different, and I don't think anywhere else in Mexico you could go and see mummies if you wanted to. So yeah, it was interesting. Next up is Guadalajara. This one will be quick because we didn't love Guadalajara. We were staying somewhere that felt a little bit rough, and I posted the video about Guadalajara recently, and someone said, well, if you're staying in a rough area, you're not going to like it anywhere in the world, which I agree with, but we're
supposed to stay in the...
We thought we were staying in the like nicer neighbourhood that was meant to be safe, and we still didn't particularly feel safe, just in terms of like, we wanted to walk to a park one day, we got halfway there and thought, no, let's just turn back, it just doesn't feel right. We went to the city centre one day, it was gorgeous. What's interesting here is the cathedral, and then it's got 4 squares, so one on each side of it, which usually a cathedral has 1 square, like one main square. This one has 4, which is quite unusual, so it was really interesting to see that. We went down to the market, there was loads of big buildings, gorgeous architecture. I enjoyed being in the city centre, but we'd read online that if you stay in the city centre it's not safe at night time, and we thought, well, what about going for meals? And so we stayed where we thought would be best. I don't know that I would recommend Guadalajara, or maybe stay in the city centre and just not go out at night time if it's not safe, or I don't know. I feel like
I don't think it's got anything special while staying there.
Yeah, it wasn't as Mexican. I know that sounds really bad, but in terms of like the bright colours and the culture and the singing and the dancing and the like all the rest of it that we'd seen in the rest of Mexico did not have that in Guadalajara. So not my fave. Something that was nice was actually on a Sunday morning between I think 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. they closed down a lot of the main roads, I think for like 20 kilometers of road or something. It's in my video where I talked about Guadalajara. But they close off the roads so that people can go out and run and bike ride and use scooters and do skipping and play games and play chess and just generally be outside with their families, which I think is a really, really nice initiative. And I think that would be so cool if that happened in Paris, in London, in Rome, in wherever, having the whole city shut down essentially so that people could be outside, because I think it's hard for people otherwise to do that when cities are so built up and there's so much traffic. So I thought that was a really cool initiative and I really liked that about Guadalajara. 2 more to go, guys. We're nearly there. Next one is Lo de Marcos and Sayulita. So we wanted to stay in Sayulita, but there was a epidemic of some sickness and diarrhea disease.
Norovirus?
Norovirus, yeah.
Basically, I have friends / someone I work with living in Lo de Marco. We told her we wanted to go to Sayulita. She told me it's not super safe at the moment. A lot of people are getting sick from the water. It's unclear, but check it out before. I googled there. Thousands and thousands of people saying, yeah, I went there and we were all sick, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, let's not stay there. It doesn't feel alright. So we stayed in Lo de Marco where our friend / colleague is living, and it was amazing.
So we stayed in Lo de Marcos instead, and it was gorgeous. It was a really small beach town where the roads aren't tarmacked. It's kind of a dirt path. We walked past a white car that was next to where we were staying, and it was just covered in dust essentially, but it was nice and chill. It was one of those places where it had maybe 4 or 5 restaurants, 4 or 5 little shops, a school maybe, a doctor's maybe, I don't know, but like just small town vibes. And the beach was, I think it's like a 2-kilometer stretch of beach. No one on there.
2 miles even.
2 miles. No one was on there. It was so empty, so gorgeous. The waves were a little bit strong for us in terms of swimming, so we didn't love the swimming aspect of it, but apart from that it was stunning, gorgeous, quiet, palm trees, nice buildings. We were staying in a nice accommodation as well. It was like a shared home, but we had a really nice sized room and a kitchen, and they were quiet and barely there. So
pricey.
It was expensive, yeah.
It was like
nice.
€400 for a night, for a week.
Not for a night,
No.
for a week.
But
yeah, so we enjoyed the beach. I think it was nice just to chill and to like slow down a little bit, because it wasn't as if you have to be walking up thousands of steps, but also there wasn't like a cathedral to see and a this and a that and a day trip.
It's like a square, and it takes 10 minutes literally to go from top to bottom, just to give you an idea. So like you can literally walk around the city in like half an hour pretty much.
Yeah, so it was nice to have time just to chill and to slow down rather than doing day trips and here, there and everywhere looking at everything. We did go to Sayulita for a day. I vlogged it and I was supposed to be not touching things so I didn't get sickness and diarrhea, and I touched everything in all the shops and I had to keep putting hand sanitizer on my hands. But Sayulita was a completely different vibe. We felt like it was very much like a Bali of Mexico in terms of, if you told me I was in Bali I would have believed it. Very, like, there was tattoo shops, there was surf shops, there was surf schools, there was smoothie bowls, there was hundreds of people on the beach. There was so many deck chairs. They were all lined up in rows of like 4 or 5 deep, but like all the way along the stretch of the beach. People surfing, people drinking, people playing loud music, people smoking. There was a couple of nice hotels that we went, we kind of walked past. I think it's a really cool vibe if you're in your 20s, you want to go surfing and drinking and make it cheap. 100% go to Sayulita. It is such a cool place. Do you not think?
I would go to Puerto Vallarta.
Probably, but I think it was just a really cool vibe, like chilled 20s somethings that are like out having fun. So I really liked it there. But it's interesting. I think it would be nice to stay in Sayulita, but I also think it was nice to go for a day and then to go back to our little zen quiet area where there wasn't music blaring on the beach, there wasn't people smoking weed, there wasn't 20-year-olds and surfers and all the rest of it. So it was nice to go for a day.
Yeah,
Any
I
thoughts
enjoyed
on?
Lo de Marco. Like just a small beach town that you can go out barefoot.
Yeah.
And shirtless, and no one cares, and everyone is like that anyway. Everyone knows each other.
Yeah, everyone was friendly as well.
Right, because it's so small, like, you just see the same faces after 3 days. And the beach is so big, and it was a beautiful sunset.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, walking along the beach, it's just so nice. There was this restaurant doing ceviche that was like so good. We went, I think, 3 or 4 times.
Ceviche tostadas.
Yeah, oh my god, it was so good and very affordable as well. It was so good. Oh my god, I love it again. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. We can't buy in Mexico, but that's definitely a place I would. I mean, it's already pricey. Despite how little developed it is, it's an expensive place to buy a property. But yeah, I really liked it there.
That's the sort of place where I said that I would love to find the equivalent of that place in Spain or Portugal or Italy or something where it's like big enough but small enough, by the beach, chilled, relaxed vibes. Everyone's hanging out, everyone knows everyone, but in like a nice way. And
yeah, it was really nice. I really liked it there. It's my kind of place.
Yeah. I Okay, so next up is Puerto Vallarta. We were there for 2 weeks. This is the last place we stayed. There's an area called Romantic Zone, which is where all the kind of hotels, restaurants, bars, that kind of thing is. Gorgeous Malecon where you can walk along the front, and there's a really cool like ship bridge walkway thing. Do you remember that thing we used to go and see?
Mm-hmm.
Crocodile. Oh, the crocodile. There is a crocodile. But we were staying a little bit out of town, which I think was a good idea because it meant that we could walk into the chaos, but then also leave and be somewhere quiet. Although we were up a hill, which meant that Jeremy literally had to push me up every day because it was so steep and so hot. I literally thought I was going to faint and not make it every time. But I really enjoyed Puerto Vallarta. I think it's a really good holiday destination in terms of if you go there, you can easily go to lots of different restaurants and different bars and have a really nice time, go to a spa, all the rest of it. We were there for Pride, which meant that we were there for the Pride Festival as well, with all the kind of parties and celebrations and decorations and flags, which was good fun. I think that was our first Pride that we'd ever been to. And a couple of things we did a chocolate making workshop for our anniversary, which was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. The guy was really amazing who was like giving us all the information, and we made some chockies and took them home, which were delish. The second thing I've written down was chill, and I think it was just nice because it was such a chill vibe. Everyone there is on holiday, everyone's on vacation. It's not like mad tourist mode where you're like doing day trips or having to see all the sights of the city. It was more like walking along the front at sunset, people are sat at bars having drinks or like on the beach, and it was just really cool, chill vibes. And then the last thing I've written is vacation. Like, I just think it's a really good place for a vacation. If you want to go and like drink cocktails, stay in a nice hotel, hang out, I think it's a really, really nice place to go, a really nice beach town.
Yeah, it's always good to be by the beach.
What were your top favourites of Puerto Vallarta? Or anything you want to say?
Yeah, just the walk on the Malecon. Did that pretty much every day. It was always nice. You got a good sunset and like a little night market. Not amazing, but it's always fun. And yeah, the chocolate workshop was fun. We did like 3 drinks, and then we did our own chocolate from like we literally took like the cacao beans that I roasted, and then we like peeled them and then grinded them to have like the paste and mix it. And yeah, it was just fun to do the thing from, I think they call it like from bean to table or something like that. Yeah, it was fun. And then we took something like 6 or 8 chocolate each. I would eat some like
we did some truffles and some ganache.
And some, yeah, it was really fun. Like our hats and aprons and everything, and
you were mixing it on the table,
picking the ingredient that we wanted on it. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I would recommend it. I don't remember how much it cost, but it was, for me, was worth the money, whatever we paid.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was fun. Especially also because we didn't book a private tour, but it was just us. So we had a private, we paid for a group tour and it was just us. So it was a nice little bonus.
Yeah, and there was a couple of clubs and things along the front, wasn't there? But you could easily avoid them if you wanted to, just walk straight past them. Yeah. A couple of Starbucks that we went to work. Was there any amazing food that we had? I don't really remember.
Well, the only place that we
went to that place twice.
Went out, it was nice, yeah. Tortilla and meat.
Yeah.
In those texture, but...
Well, I had mushrooms on mine. That was really nice. Creamy mushrooms, which gave me a sore tum.
Yeah, it was good.
That has been Mexico. What would be your top 5? This is the last thing I want to talk about, and then we can go. I'm
not doing order of preference. My favorite places were Valladolid, Merida, Oaxaca, Puebla, and San Miguel de Allende. Those are 5 places I would go back personally.
Mine would be...
And Lo de Marco as well, but...
Yes.
But I think Lo de Marco was too little also to stay for like a month or 2 probably.
Mine would be San Miguel, Oaxaca, Merida, Puerto Vallarta, and then... Oh, it's hard. Maybe Guanajuato. I liked it there.
It was too noisy to me to stay more.
It was noisy actually. Because it was a valley as well. Yeah. We were on everyone was in the bottom and we were on the top. You would hear music all night until like 2 in the morning. So.
And dogs barking in the morning.
Yeah. I really like Valladolid and Puebla and Lo de Marcos and Sayulita. A lot of them. The places that I don't recommend as much is Guadalajara and only go to Palenque for like 3 days, like we did.
Cancun.
Oh, and Cancun.
Palenque is worth going for the visits though. So
yeah, but
you have to go.
But don't go for 2 weeks.
Oh, no.
No, go for 3 days.
Yeah.
Cancun, go if you want to stay in a hotel and drink yourself silly. Guadalajara, go, but probably stay in the city centre, but the rest of it...
So you don't have Mexico City in your top 5?
No. Mm-mm. Why? Was I saying I loved it?
Yeah. That's my point.
Well, I did like it.
But
I would easily...
But it's much nicer places.
I would easily move there, but it's not my top 5.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So that is a bloody long video for me to edit. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's going to be full of videos, hopefully. And yeah, I hope it's full of information that you found useful. If you have any questions, please let us know in the comment section down below.
Go to Mexico, you won't be disappointed. I think that's the summary.
Yeah, we loved it. We kind of thought we wouldn't like it. We thought it would be scary or dangerous. Absolutely loved it. Would 100% go back. Would 100% recommend. I think next time we go back, we need to have a bit more money coming in because it was more expensive than we expected. But apart from that, thoroughly enjoyed it. So hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching. The next set of vlogs are going to be from Costa Rica. Can't wait to show you those. So thank you so much and have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.